these crab legs?
You must have spent the whole day in the kitchen preparing this feast for us.
Or did I?
Entertain with unbelievable ease. The secret is catch of the week.
So you're telling me you were able to buy a ready-to-serve platter that is this fresh?
Catch of the week, Edmonton's best seafood. Just off the Henday in Capilano, only 5 minutes from Sherwood Park. Details and directions online at catchoftheweekedmonton.com.
The Ford It's a Big Deal event is on now. Get a big deal on a 2026 F-150 STX with Black Appearance Package. Visit your Alberta Ford store today.
What is this? A mowing giant sale sign. It's for Canadian Tire's Spring Big Red Sale. I think they meant like big savings, not this.
Save up to 50% at Canadian Tire's Spring Big Red Sale, April 23rd to 30th. Exclusions apply. Details online.
You haven't set your lineup yet, right? It's Fantasy Frenzy with Halley and Douglas on Sports 1440.
Presented by Wilhauk Beef Jerky, home of Alberta's best beef jerky.
It's 11:01. Good morning. Thank you for joining us here on Fantasy Frenzy, brought to you by Wilhauk Beef Jerky, the home of Alberta's best beef jerky, online at wilhaukbeefjerky.com. Only available in Leduc. Go check them out. Tell them we sent you. Get a bag or two for tonight's action. Connor Halley, Brandon Douglas, and Josh Fenwick with you here from the Sports 1440 studios in West Edmonton Mall. Text line 1-833-40 401-1440. You can also email us, Connor at sports1440.ca and Brandon at sports1440.ca. Lots to get to. The Oilers, of course, in action, trying to stay alive as they trailed the Ducks 3-1. It's a long way back, but it all starts tonight, one game at a time, just after 8 o'clock. Pre-game coverage coming your way with Walker Paulson, Landon Ferraro, and likely more. Also last night, fun game between the Golden Knights and the Mammoth out in Salt Lake City. It was a great start for Vegas. Utah battles back, but in the end, the Vegas Golden Knights tie that series up with the overtime victory. The Penguins keeping their series going with the Flyers, now trail 3-2. So some really good hockey going on. Tonight, the Buffalo Sabres can wrap up their series with the Boston Bruins. They lead 3-1. That game in Buffalo. Wild and Stars game 5. That series tied at 2 games apiece. Puck drop just after 6. And as we've mentioned, Oilers and Ducks. Duke, you're also here. How you doing today? You're feeling pretty fired up for this one, I would assume?
I'm excited. Yeah, how can you not be? It's playoff hockey. Oilers on the brink, right? It's kind of time to nut up or shut up in the most literal sense, because if you don't bring a more concerted, a better effort over the course of 60 minutes than you have in the previous 4 games, your season's probably coming to a close, right? And it just seems like they've kind of been lacking that little bit of killer instinct that we've come accustomed to seeing them have over past runs to the Stanley Cup Finals. Can they dig deep and find it tonight? And based on the morning skate, looks like a few changes to the deep pairings, which is a little odd, I would think, at this stage of the series. But when the defense as a group, as a team effort, has struggled as much as it has through 4 games, I guess probably there's not much room to go but up.
As a fan, as an analyst, whatever you want to answer this question as, the Oilers win tonight, hypothetically.
Okay.
Does the doubt creep in, or do you think it's still like confidence? Because the Oilers, the momentum would grow with every win. We've seen the Oilers in this situation. It's like you really just want to wrap it up. We know the 4th one is the toughest to win all the times, but you just want to get it done, right? You don't want to let this team linger. You don't want to play with your food. Would you feel like if the Oilers found a way to win tonight, like, okay, we got a series again, they got to figure this thing out?
Yeah, it's hard to say, because I still kind of keep riding this train of thought that for this Ducks team that has some veteran players that have been in tough spots before and can certainly be leaned on for their leadership and experience, but the guys driving the bus are all the young upstarts, right? Senecas, the Carlsons, Lacombe on the back end, amongst others. Cutter Gauthier, of course, having a big impact since a quiet game 1. Like, these guys don't know what they don't know when it comes to this time of year. So all of a sudden, like they're used to losing games. They lost plenty this year, and some of them in pretty spectacular fashion via being unable to stop the opposition, play any defense. And I just think, like, even if the Oilers win tonight, really regardless of fashion, if it's a blowout, if it's another overtime game, anything in between, the Ducks it just seems like they have an ability to shrug it off and move into the next game and come at it with a fresh attitude back on home ice in Southern California. So maybe that's a little bit of an optimist viewpoint from me, and part of that fan bias starting to creep in a little bit, hoping that this team can find their first playoff series win since 2018. But or 2017, excuse me. I'm not sure that'll have a huge impact. Now, if the Oilers can rattle off 2 in a row and it's do or die back here in Edmonton, I think we are having a different story or a different conversation at that point.
Yeah, and then the Oilers face their biggest foe, the 3-game winning streak. Now, exactly. Some news and notes from practice today from our very own Jason Greger says Oilers defensive pairings. Now, take it with a grain of salt. We never really know how it's going to pair out, but Nurse, Bouchard, Wallman, Murphy, Ekholm, third pairing with Emberson. Interesting. We'll have to see. I know the Nurse Bouchard pairing in the past has been troublesome at times. Jason Greger also saying that Connor Ingram off first, so it looks like Connor Ingram gets the start, and was asked about 97 and 16, obviously optional skate, both not on the ice. Greger expects them both to play, and I would expect that as well. For 97, there's clearly some bumps and bruises. Dickinson as well, but man, this is elimination. They got to be out there for the team, so no doubt in my mind that they'll be out there. Duke, for the goaltending situation, and you can let us know 1-833-401-1440. You don't even have to put much into it, not even a reason. Who would you start if it was your call? Do you go Ingram? Do you go Jari? I think I go back to Connor Ingram personally. Just not that Jari was that bad, but it's just a situation where you can't have that bad goal, and we've seen that from Tristan Jari in the past. I do think it's a bit of a moot point because you do have to play solid defense in whoever's in front of whoever's in between the pipes. And when they've done that, they've won games. When they get in shooting lanes, they do those sort of things. It's power play. It would be nice if they can contribute, but the PK has to be way better. You can't take bad penalties. Like, you can't play with fire. You can't give the Ducks any more opportunities than they're going to get. Duke, would you be going Ingram? Would you be going Tristan Jari?
He was my pick. Kevin and I talked about it during In or Out this morning during the show. And to me, it just comes down to a simple question of what gives you the best chance to win. In a game, you have to win or the season is over, stating the obvious once more. And I don't fault Tristan Jari for what happened on Sunday. We kind of talked about it yesterday. Maybe I don't love the chance you give yourself to make the save sometimes, whether that's on the Cutter Gauthier perfect shot, even the game winner. It is a bad bounce, but are you giving yourself the best chance to make that save with how you're approaching the shot, the pass of the slot, however you want to phrase it, right? And because of that, I just think Connor Ingram has brought a really calming presence to this team since kind of taking over as the number one job. He wasn't particularly sharp in the first few games either, right? Obviously the total of number of goals that get past him doesn't inspire a ton of confidence, but I just think that he gives you the best chance to win, and as a result, that's who I would be leaning on if I were Chris Knobloch in this exact position.
I think I'm with you. Stu Barnes says, I think you just run with Jari now. Well, it appears that it's going to be Connor Ingram getting the start from reports down at practice per Jason Greger. Now, Jay and Victoria texted and he says, all right, Connor and Duke. Duke says it's done tonight. Kevin said he'd be stunned if they lost. My question is, if the Oilers go out tonight in the first round, especially, tonight, what changes do you see them making? They will, in essence, have 1 year max with Connor. Well, technically 2 years, I'd say max.
And 2 years minimum, I guess, maybe. It depends on your frame of mind and
if next year
optimism.
If next year went poorly, then I could see maybe, there's a trade in the works because you don't want to lose them for nothing. Duke, if they lose tonight, and it could be overreaction because one train of thought would be that, hey, they're injured and, they haven't had the best goaltending. I would say nothing is off the table if they don't get out of the first round. And you can factor in fatigue, all that sort of thing. But they didn't have a good year. This isn't a team that, ran away with the Pacific and then just faltered at the end. They struggled all year. They won 3 games or more on 2 occasions. That's it. They won 5 games. They won 3 games. They couldn't win the pillow fight of the Pacific Division. So this hasn't been, the juggernaut team. You if they were to get into the postseason and go on another run, then you'd say, okay, yeah, this is a team that's got that the veteran savviness. They turn it up when they have to, but they just haven't been able to. So if it were me and they don't get out of the first round, I would say, if you want to make a coaching change, sure. That's fine. If you're going to do anything else like that, I'm on board. Find a way. Get that number one goalie. Get another defenseman. Get another top six winger, whatever it might be. Kevlar says, Florida didn't even make the playoffs and they won the cup last year. Yeah, they won the cup. And then they went the year before that. And then they went to the final the year before that. So that's the difference. They won the cup.
Making it to a Stanley Cup final is an incredibly impressive feat. 2 years in a row, that's nuts. You know, we hadn't seen it done very often in the recent, like the Stanley Cup era of the NHL. That is until the past 6 years, essentially, where we saw Tampa go to 3 straight, Florida go to 3 straight, and now Edmonton to back-to-back. The difference, as you say, Connor, those 2 previous teams, they won. They each won twice. Flags fly forever. It's much easier to subject yourself to a down year, or call it a reload year, where injuries have hampered you, and that was definitely the case with the Panthers and all these factors. When you say, well, flags fly forever, right? Even if we can't get back to that level, we at least cleared the hurdle. We have a championship, in their case 2, in our trophy case. The Oilers don't. And that makes it that much harder to stomach for the ownership, for the upper management, for the hockey operations, all the way down to the players. And then beyond that, the fan base. Accomplishments are accomplishments, but when it comes to pro sports, there's only one thing that really matters, and it's winning. And now the Oilers need to, regardless of how tonight goes, I don't think there's very much confidence of them, given the current state of the team, those injuries we talked about, whoever they face in the second round, third round, even a third straight cup final. Do we believe that this team has the ability to accomplish that goal of ultimately winning a championship this year? I would say, based on a lot of the texts and things I've read over the past few weeks, heck, the whole season, I would say the resounding answer to that is no.
Kenneth saying, now the team manufacturing was excuses, McDavid game time decision. Why even say that? No reason. I don't know. I mean, he's going to play. If Connor McDavid doesn't play tonight, I would be absolutely shocked. Jason Dickinson, also game time decision. But he's
would you be shocked if Dickinson doesn't play?
I would be, yeah. I think I would be. Not as shocked.
Yeah.
I mean,
we've already seen him miss a game.
Yeah.
He's headed he went down the tunnel again after, I can't remember if it was a hit or a shot or someone that clipped him last game. He obviously returned, and we've actually seen that twice already in this series of leaving and then returning. We saw him miss a game. His absence is noted from this lineup for sure, but he's hobbled out there. No doubt about it.
Northside Lou, this isn't on coaching as much as it's on average goaltending and play execution. I do agree. And there's certain things that I would never blame a coach for. It's like the slow starts. People used to blame it on coaching. No, that's on the players to get up for it. But not executing, is that message being relayed properly? Like, sometimes that drill sergeant coach ingrains it in players to the point that it's automatic. Is that being coached this way? I don't know. So, like Northside Lou, I do agree with you. Like, the goaltending certainly hasn't helped them. But I don't know if you can say coaching gets a total pass. I think that's a part of it as well. Panthers were down 3-1 to the Leafs last year and won the cup. This is true. Second round. Hey, I mean, Oilers could turn it around. It's not going to be easy, especially with these injuries piling up, but crazier things have happened. If they don't start making changes with this club, like coaching, goaltending, McDavid will be in Tampa in 2 years with his body, John. Mark my words. Can they afford him?
I would need to do some shuffling. Maybe he takes a team-friendly deal to get a chance at a cup. Listen, we're still a ways away from that.
Yeah.
And I'm not ready to start having those type of conversations until the season is over for Edmonton, right? Like, there's a chance that could be as early as tomorrow. Maybe it's later this week. Maybe it's another month. We don't know. That's what makes sport great. They have the guys, hurt or not. They've got the players that have been there and done it, can dig deep. The only hesitancy I have to keep leaning on that narrative is that we haven't seen a lot of it this season, right? 3 wins in a row just twice. For a team that came in with the expectations and aspirations that they did, it leaves a lot to be desired. They'll have to do it a third time if they want to see their season extend.
Yeah, and I'll go back to October. The one thing I wanted to see from this team was, win the division.
Yeah, go out there, run a roughshod over the rest of this very weak grouping of teams.
And I didn't even call them weak at the start of the year. It didn't matter. It was just go get it done, and they didn't do it. And even like you said, now with hindsight being 2020, it was a poor division. Maybe the expectations going back to where they did the last two seasons was too much. Just quickly, Duke, last night, we got a heck of a hockey game. The Vegas Golden Knights took a 3-0 lead, and then it was 30 seconds. Utah scores 2 goals. They score 2 more in the third period. Brett Howden ties it up. Shea Theodore gets the winner in overtime. That atmosphere in Utah was outstanding, and that game was great to even up the series. I mean, that's what we want to see tonight. But what do you think of that way to, battle back by Utah and then Vegas to do it as well?
So I dumped this game from the main screen at home. I flipped it to the monitor on the desk and was actually watching some basketball on the Prime TV last night, kind of jumping around between the games as they spilled over onto each other. And then all of a sudden, I'm like keeping tabs. Like, oh, well, they've made this hockey game at 3-2. And then there was a point where Vegas almost made it 4-2. But then, credit to the Mammoth. They just wouldn't go away, keep pressing, find themselves a lead. But at the same time, as you credit Mammoth for that, you don't get a point for an OT loss in the playoffs. And I said this with Kevin. Last night, I thought Vegas, listen, they blow a 3-0 lead. It's hockey. It happens. They showed their championship pedigree and the resolve of their veteran players to find their way back, to find a way to win that game. Both the late tying goal and then, of course, overtime where I thought they were the better team in overtime. But Utah had their chances, don't get me wrong. Couple good stops by Carter Hart, one right off the melon in particular. But that is something that the Oilers, I doubt they're looking at it. I doubt they're keeping tabs really outside of taking care of their own business in-house. But that is what the Oilers would need to do tonight. Regardless of what happens over the course of 60 minutes, maybe longer, you just can't find yourself feeling sorry for yourself. Because the Ducks aren't going to go away, probably, for a lot of the reasons we discussed earlier, the plucky resolve, the not knowing what you don't know. So it was a great hockey game. Man, I predicted this to be the longest series of the first round in the Western Conference especially. I think we're going to see it go 7 games. I do.
Wow.
And I picked Utah to win as the upset, as a surprise team. They had a chance to put a stranglehold on it last night, but couldn't quite finish.
Just quickly, Ducks injury-wise, outside of Gudis,
the only name, and it's kind of it's faded from relevancy because of the way the Ducks' fourth line is played throughout the series, but Ross Johnston.
Mm-hmm.
He's a fourth line guy. He's big, he's fast, he hits everything that moves, and he kind of provides that little bit of deterrence quality that the Ducks don't really have elsewhere in their lineup because, Trouba and Gudis are physical players, so are some other guys up front, but they're not known as fighters, right, to go in and go after someone. And we see that less in the playoffs anyway, but Johnston's a good player. Usually because of his speed and size for the most part. So there was some him and Han about if he'd be ready to start the series. He wasn't. He wasn't ready for game 2. And the fourth line, even if Johnston's ready to go, how are you justifying taking one of those guys out of the lineup with how they've performed through 4 games so far, even if one of them is a regular defenseman? So that it's kind of wild. But other than that, no, I think it would probably be for the most part just your usual nicks, bruises, banged up. Haven't heard much about guys skipping morning skates as we've kind of seen with some other players here. So seemingly they're a much better standing health-wise than Edmonton is.
Yeah, being up 3-1, you got that luxury where you don't have to really change anything. I think they should put Radko Gudas back in.
I bet a lot of Oilers fans would like that.
He's good to go.
Playing the third parents played like 8 minutes a night in each of the past couple games. But they're even. They have not been victimized when they've been out there. And even in those few minutes, that's a plus, I think, for your third pairing. Now, they've leaned very heavily on the top 4 as a result. Does that play in if the Oilers can extend this series where a guy like Jackson Lacombe, Pavel Mintyukov, the 2 young bucks in the top 4, aren't accustomed to this many minutes this late in the season, this type of hockey? We will see.
We shall. We'll take a break. When we come back, we got Trevor and Trev and MTR, Dunner, Tyler, Tex we'll get to, and more. We'll also check in on the YouTube chat. It's Fantasy Frenzy here on Sports 1440, YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, and Twitch. Brought to you by Wilhauk Beef Jerky.
Bringing every project to life requires the right team. By joining the Japa Machinery Group service or sales teams, you can be part of setting a new industry standard. Celebrating a legacy of excellence with Japa. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
I'm Colin Livingston, president of Cantork. Cantork has always been a forward-thinking company, but now that we've turned 25, I can't help but take a minute to take a look back. Thank you to everyone that's been with us along the way.
And now Action Electrical's testing team is on defense duty. They're the guardians of safety and compliance, a critical part of any lineup.
Precisely. They perform rigorous safety and code compliance testing for commercial operations. Think of them as the referees, ensuring everything is up to standard before disaster strikes.
Their preventative plays are legendary, spotting faults early. Hire the Action Electrical team to bring home a win for your project. Visit actionelectrical.net.
One app, triple the action. Play Alberta is proof that good things do come in threes. Whether you're into playing any of our exciting casino games, betting on your favorite professional sports teams from around the world, or buying into Canada's biggest lotteries, Play Alberta is the province's only app to do it all. Download today and discover a new way to play.
Must be 18 plus to play. If you gamble, use your game sense.
I won't shave till we bring home the cup.
And I like to do a shot for every playoff goal.
My jersey's not coming off until we're the city of champs again.
Want a playoff superstition that always wins? Pick up a bag of Wilhauk beef jerky for every game. Because when it comes to the playoffs, where there's a Wilhauk, there's a way.
Make every playoff game a Wilhockey game day with Wilhauk beef jerky. Only available in Leduc. Get yours today because you don't bring home the cup with salad.
Hi, Mike here from Northgate Chevrolet Buick GMC. Would you like to be a part of history for the month of April? I'm kidding. Or as the kids say, bro, I'm joking. Would you like to help us set a record in April? Chill. Still kidding. At Northgate, we aren't trying to set any records or tell you how many vehicles we sell. And we really don't think you'd care. But what you will care about is this. Every dealer has the same costs. Trust me. GM does not have a favorite kid. You get to decide where you buy. 0% financing, a great selection, and of course, great people. Stop in and see us today. 13215 97th Street or business online at northgategm.com.
You're in Northgate country.
When it comes to sports in Edmonton, Jason Greger is a must listen. He brings you the inside scoop with guests from across North America. If it matters in sports, you'll hear it here first. Greger rolls out weekdays from 2 to 6 on Sports 1440.
If you're passionate about golf, you probably already know, and you've been waiting. The Quarry is now open, and all 27 holes are in great shape. Book now, get geared up at the Pro Shop, and start swinging at the Quarry. Don't forget about the Granite Grill Restaurant, an unforgettable top-tier venue to host all your events. For rental details or to book your tee time, contact the Quarry today. Edmonton's most popular golf and event venue. Call 477-THE-Q and visit thequarryedmonton.com.
Tim's Smile Cookie is here. And with every bite, you'll help make a difference close to home. Because 100% is donated to over 600 local charities and community groups. Buy your Tim's Smile Cookies April 27th to May 3rd at participating restaurants in Canada for a limited time.
What is this? A Mowing Giant sale sign. It's for Canadian Tire's spring big red sale. I think they meant like big savings, not this.
Save up to 50% at Canadian Tire's spring big red sale. April 23rd to 30th. Exclusions apply. Details online.
Like we always do with this time. I go for mine. I got to shine. Now throw your hands up in the sky. Go for mine. I got to shine. Now throw your hands up in the sky. Mama, hey.
Get the inside scoop for your team on Fantasy Frenzy with Halley and Douglas on Sports 1440.
Presented by Wilhauk Beef Jerky, home of Alberta's best beef jerky.
$11:24. Welcome back. It's Fantasy Frenzy here on Sports 1440. Connor Halley, Brandon Douglas, Josh Fenwick with you here. Fantasy Frenzy brought to you by Wilhauk Beef Jerky, home of Alberta's best beef jerky. Online, wilhaukbeefjerky.com. Only available in Leduc. Go pay him a visit. Tell him we sent you. Grab a couple bags, maybe some more. And, be fed for tonight's hockey game. Oilers and Ducks just after 8 o'clock. Down at Rogers Place, pregame coverage coming your way with Andrew Walker at 6. Leading up to that, we got Gregor, Low Tide. Should be a fun day here on Sports 1440. Lots of text to get here in the inbox. Again, 1-833-414-1440. We also had some comments on the old YouTube chat. Tansy31 says, number 1, trade Nurse. Number 2, sign a good to elite goalie. And number 3, get younger and faster to keep up with the younger teams. Triple Crown 99 says, back to Ingram, in my opinion. And that's what it's looking like per multiple reports. Jason Gregor saying that looks like Connor Ingram will get the start. Coach says McDavid and Dickinson game time decisions. I'm leaning towards their plan, but we will have to see closer to puck drop. This segment for elksnation.ca, 2-weekly podcast with Eddie Steele, Declan Kruger, breaking down the green and gold, the most in-depth E football coverage you're going to find. Go check them out. They've had some really good stuff as of late. The videos are fantastic, really hitting their stride. And of course, the CFL draft tonight gets going at 5 o'clock. Old intern Mackenzie McLennan is actually going to be down there for us covering the event. So make sure you follow Sports 1440 socials. Keep up to date with what is happening and who the Elks are selecting. We'll head into the inbox right here. Trevor says, if Oilers go out tonight, what are 3 changes you guys would make next year? I will say this. I don't want to advocate for someone to lose their job, but I'm a big fan of Bruce Cassidy. I loved listening to him post-game, his times. I think he just spits fire. So, I mean, I'd consider that. I'd be looking for a goalie, 100%. That kind of goes without saying. And then, I mean, what's been their issue in the postseason here, Duke? And you can say the penalty kill has been an issue. They've tried to address that. The injuries just haven't helped them. Mm-hmm. Credit to the Ducks, are doing a good job as well. Another defenseman. I think that'd be it. There's a lot of different places you could go though, but you got to find that clear cut number 1 goalie. I don't want to have a situation next year, Duke, where you're facing elimination and there's any debate for which goalie I start.
You want a bona fide number one.
G1.
You're done with this system of, one guy's not playing very well. Let's roll the other out there for a couple weeks. He's not very good either. Now what do we do? Scramble, make a trade.
Lateral move in the trade.
Lateral move.
Give up a defenseman.
Another hope. It's a hope pass, kind of, right? And I think that's how we felt at the time of the Jari acquisition. Now, I just feel like you can have an average goaltender, 2 average goaltenders, but you need to utilize, and usually what comes with average goaltending, a lower price tag, right? Lower AAV on your salary cap. Use that money more intelligently when improving the rest of your roster if that's how you want to go about building your team. There's lots of teams with average goaltending. How many really elite goaltenders are there in this league? And to go with it, how many of them have won a Stanley Cup?
It's true.
Vasilevsky is the first name that comes to mind, obviously, going back to back, and he was unreal in both runs. Now, Bobrovsky, he's obviously a little more gray in the beard at this point in his career, but he's been quite good for Philly, or for the Panthers, excuse me. In their back-to-back Stanley Cups. Did he play elitely in those playoff runs? At times, sure. But so did Stuart Skinner.
Yeah.
Right? He played elite hockey at different stretch of his last 2 runs. So it's a hard conversation, and it also boils back to a question of where do you get him from?
Yeah.
Teams then, the obvious answer right now, everyone's circling the wagons on Minnesota. Is Philip Gustafsson going to be tried to be made available because it looks like they've put their stock into the Wallstead camp for the future, for both the present and future. Gustafsson's got a raise coming in, I believe, comes with a no movement clause. He would have to agree to it. There's a lot of obstacles, man.
Yeah,
and it's always easier said than done, but that's the nature of sport.
The question was, what are the moves you make, Ed? It says for who are we trading? Say a trade. That's where I was looking, was Minnesota, and I know I've also said if I'm Minnesota, I'm in no rush to make that trade. And
what are the Oilers giving Minnesota to make this deal?
That's exactly it. That's it. I don't know. I don't think that's realistic. I kind of think that the Oilers are probably going to be in a situation where you're re-signing Connor Ingram, and maybe he becomes that guy. Maybe throughout the season, he is that clear-cut number 1. It'd be nice. I think he's got the capability, but yeah, well, I mean, how many times have we hammered it down on this show? Goalie number one, like those guys are incredibly tough to come by, and teams that have them don't just give them away. So it is true.
Like on the free agency list this summer, I don't expect to find a number one goalie there. So it's going to have to be via trade.
Stuart Skinner's available.
Yeah, he is. As is Frederick Anderson, Cam Talbot, Peter Mrazek, Vitek Vanacek, Matt Murray. Be honest, I wasn't sure he was still in the league.
Oh, he's lingering, right?
He's in the Seattle organization.
Carey Price is available.
Yeah, what a comeback. Wouldn't that be something?
Bobrovsky, I don't think he leaves Florida.
If he keeps playing.
If he keeps playing, yeah, it's 37, right? So, yeah.
Now, all this goes back to what we kind of led the show. The season's not over yet. It's a good question from, I think it was Trevor, that said, like, what changes are you making if the Oilers lose tonight? Oh, yeah, they haven't lost yet.
Exactly. That was the big if it happens. Now, Trev says, will Bruce Cassidy become the Oilers' next coach if they lose? Dunner says, never in a million years would I hire Cassidy. Listen to Mike Commodore's comments on Cassidy several years ago when they're both in the Caps. Enough said. I didn't hear Commie's comments on that. I mean, he doesn't hold back for sure. He'll give you his honest opinion. He's done that and been very entertaining when he does it. We've had him on with Gregor a couple times. I'll have to go listen to it. Trevor says, I've heard he's tough on his players. Do you think that could have an impact on McDavid? I think so. I don't know what the exact impact. Being pushed a little bit. I always, when I used to coach, I was always probably toughest on my best players. But, you can get the most out of them. They have to live up to it. Ed says, can we not try Unger? Why do other teams try young goalies?
So you just want to turn your starting job over to a guy with 0 NHL games. That is not setting yourself up for success. That's another hope play. Those have had enough hope plays. The one time they tried to make a conscious effort to improve his decision could not have turned out worse. And that was obviously the Jack Campbell situation.
Yeah.
So that, I get, but at the same time, was Jack Campbell's track record at that time justify the Oilers putting all their eggs in that basket? I'm not convinced it did. I thought a guy like Darcy Kemper would have been the smarter play at the time. Now, Kemper's bounced around, right? He did not fit well in Washington. That was a bad, and then the kind of works out the trade for Dubois to LA. He's a Vezina Trophy finalist last year. Lost the starting job this season. So, it's goaltending is voodoo. It's all run around. Could Unger pop on the scene and pull off a Ken Dryden, a Patrick Waugh, Cam Ward? Yeah, he could. But the odds tell us that that's very unlikely. History, precedents, those all weigh in here.
100%. I mean, he's going to get looks. He's going to get opportunities for sure. But it's going to take time. The follow-up text there at 1-833-414-1440 was from Ed. How do they start their career then? Jesper Wallstedt started with 0 games. Well, you have to factor in that Wallstedt was a 20th overall pick. The Minnesota Wild developed him, brought him up. He had good numbers with Iowa. They wanted to give him a chance, and it worked out.
He wasn't given the starting job with no backing this year.
That's the thing. He's not the... Well, yeah, exactly. You nailed it there, Duke. Unger, has worked his way up. He's been grinding. He was not drafted. He doesn't come in with the same, expectations. And he's been a great goalie in the East Coast Hockey League, and he's really good with the Condors. But I think you kind of have to trust the Oilers brass and development department with this one. They're slow playing it. They want to see what they have. He's been really good, but I just don't think he's quite there yet. Next year, I'd love to see him get a shot, Duke. Why not?
I'd be shocked if he doesn't play games next year.
Yeah.
But unless there's a big setback in his early season development, which I would expect to be in Bakersfield. As long as he can continue this growth and success that he's clearly showed in his first pro year, yes, no doubt he'll get a look. But I just think, based on that text, and based on that text, the way they're framing is let's go into next season with Connor Unger as one of our 2 goaltenders, if not the goaltender. And I think that that's just a foolish proposition.
So Calvin Pickard, unrestricted free agent, I believe. I assume his time will be done with the Oilers. You will have Tristan Jarry under contract for another year. And then what do you think it looks like behind him? Is he your number one goalie next year? And then Unger, potentially? Like, can't wait to see Unger in the preseason, 100%. But I'd still like to see someone else brought in. And I kind of think they re-sign Ingram.
Yeah. If that's the conversation we're having right now, maybe depending on tonight's result or the rest of this week's result or however, I'm not sure I would be super surprised if it's the same two goalies next year.
I'm with you.
The Jarry contract becomes tough to move. Ingram probably won't cost you very much to bring back. Wouldn't be a long-term commitment, I wouldn't expect. And if I'm taking one step further, I'll be very surprised if neither of them are back. I would think at least one of them will be.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, I think you have Tristan Jarry next year for sure. And then I think they're running it back. And then we get to April 28th, 2027, and we get to the situation. And is there that goalie that you trust 100%? Or right back where we started? Perplexed Oilers fans says, never hire a hard-nosed coach in a Canadian market. Look at Toronto. Fans are hard on players. Weather is hard on players. Travel in Edmonton is hard on players. Need a coach that inspires and brings energy, especially to the Edmonton Oilers players. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it can't work. I
think Daryl Sutter had some pretty good success in Calgary.
Yeah. Like, do you think
playoff success, maybe outside of and it was a different era of hockey in 2004, but
travel's tough on Florida. Like, they have to go pretty far. They had to fly a long way. It's tough on LA. Like, was Sutter tough in LA? But they were like, well, at least the fans and the weather are nice. Like, I don't know. I think it can work. I think it's more of a situational thing. I don't think it's just straight across the board. You can say you can't have a hard-nosed coach in Canada. I think it varies team to team.
And players to players.
Yeah.
Like and team to team is in not a specific, like the Oilers will never have a hard-nosed coach.
Yeah.
No, like
the makeup of the roster.
100%.
We'll take a break. We'll let more texts roll in here. 1-833-401-40. Keep them coming. We appreciate them. It is Fantasy Frenzy, brought to you by Will Hawk Beef Jerky.
As we all try to figure out when winter will actually stop and spring will finally be here for the season, GS Construction moves ahead with their plans for the year. From planning and digging to laying out underground infrastructure, construction season is limited, so we make every day count. And that's why GS Construction counts on our team to get the job done right. Crews are getting back in action across the city, and we'd like you to join us. We're looking for experienced top men, pipe layers, operators, and surveyors. For more, visit gsconstruction.ca.
Do you work for a company that wants to reach people who love sports? Or maybe you're looking to hire people who love sports. Sports 1440 partners with dozens of local businesses, connecting with tens of thousands of Edmonton sports fans every day. On the radio, on the listening apps, on YouTube, and on social media. Contact our sales team today to see what Sports 1440 can do for you. Email Gregor at sports1440.ca to get started.
Struggling to find skilled workers? What if you could fill your talent pipeline with motivated, pre-vetted youth and receive funding to support your efforts? At Careers the Next Generation, we connect Alberta employers with interns in skilled trades, IT, agriculture, forestry, and more. All WCB covered, high school accredited, safety trained, and ready to contribute from day one. With 83% of RAP students continuing their apprenticeships after high school, investing in youth today means securing your workforce for tomorrow. Don't wait. Visit careersnextgen.ca to get started.
Your all-access pass to the world of sports is Edmonton's only sports radio station.
From pre- and post-game hockey shows to in-depth analysis from your favorite commentators, the action never stops on Sports 1440.
50. Right now at Papa John's, you order carry-out, you get 50% off the pizza, loaded with the toppings you love. You want pepperoni? You got it. You want the works? Done. Always made with our fresh, never frozen dough. Half the price for the pizza you already love when you come grab it. Just use promo code CO50. Better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's. 50% off regular menu price pizzas. Carry out only. Use promo code CO50. Participating locations. Restrictions may apply.
When my husband and I said until death do us part, I never expected to find myself at the doorstep of divorce. I was facing an uncertain financial future, expensive lawyer bills, and most importantly, I was concerned for the well-being of my kids. My spouse and I turned to Fairway Divorce Solutions for help. Fairway walked us through a step-by-step process, allowing us to develop a clear roadmap to resolve financial concerns and provide a proactive co-parenting strategy. It helped us avoid chaos and courtrooms.
For a no-cost consultation, visit fairwaydivorce.com.
In like a lion or like a lamb, out like a goat. That's greatest offer of all time with Sherwood Honda. While there's plenty of goats on the lot, you can also custom order yours. Pick your Honda model with the color, interior, trim, and technology for the ride you've always wanted. Sherwood Honda can help you build and price your new Honda to make it the greatest order of all time. Pre-ordering sure would be simple and satisfying with help from Sherwood Honda.
Alberta runs on hard work and high performance. Titan Supply has the products, knowledge, and service to ensure that performance. Now, they're part of Benmore, a Canadian company delivering lifting and securement solutions across the country. From designing and manufacturing to delivering lifting slings, securement products, crane cable, and more. They're built to take on the toughest jobs. Titan Supply and Benmore, stronger together. Visit ben-mor.com.
Who should start? Who needs to hit the bench? Find out with Fantasy Frenzy with Halley and Douglas. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by Will Hawk Beef Jerky, home of Alberta's best beef jerky.
$11:43. Welcome back to Fantasy Frenzy here on Sports 1440. Connor Halley, Brandon Douglas, Josh Fenwick with you here. The show brought to you by Will Hawk Beef Jerky, home of Alberta's best beef jerky online at willhawkbeefjerky.com. Coming up next, it is the Lowdown with Low Tide. Should be a fun show. I'm sure everybody will remain calm. Declan Kruger, we got Donovan Paulson, Fenwick, and not else exactly sure what else will be happening, but lots of talk. And Declan wearing a Draisaitl jersey today. Deck is all in. Draisaitl, a couple goals tonight, I think, just based off vibes. Ken had texted in and said, oh, wait, I'll just tell you what's coming up on the Gregor show as well. I'll just stop right there. 2 to 6, the Gregor show. We'll have Mark Lamb, Oilers alum, part of the team that was down 3-1 against the Winnipeg Jets, came back to win. We'll talk about that. TR is going to join us for an hour. So in that time, we'll be hearing from Dave McCarthy of Sirius XM. And go into 5 questions. We have comedian Brad Williams who's going to join us on the show. Brad is very funny. My only beef with him is that he is a Denver Broncos fan. He's an Anaheim Ducks fan. I'm not as worried about that one, but he's going to be at the River Cree on Thursday, the Tall Tales Tour. It's crazy. He's going to be busy with this tour until, 5 days before Christmas. So we'll talk to him, talk some Ducks hockey. He's a fan, maybe some Broncos, what it's like being on the road and more. And of course, we got Struddy, 5 questions, Mark Spector, Derek Van Diest, and Cam Tate. So keep it locked here on Sports 1440, and then pregame coverage with Andrew Walker and Donovan Paulson. And friends, Lennon Ferraro. I know these 2-hour shows, they usually have another guest on. So once we figure that one out, we can let you know what's happening. All right. Back to the text here. Ken in Fort Sask says, guys, I love the Oil, but I wouldn't mind them losing. Why? I don't think they can win this year. All the injuries. They lose some contracts this summer, money going up. Get a nice long summer to heal and come back stronger. I mean, that's one of those things. If it were to happen, you can look at it and find the positive spin. But I don't know. I'd like to see the Oilers play a few more games at least, Get into May. Going to Oilers games with shorts on is an absolute pleasure. Ben says, rolling back with goalies next season will make McDavid's decision easier at the end of his contract. That's what I'm saying. It's not easy. We talked about the names. It'll be tough. And the Oilers, they've made a lot of trades at trade deadline. So the assets aren't as good as other teams can offer. But maybe there's some hard decisions that have to be made. DDR says, bring in Cassidy. This team needs someone to bring in the whip. Get him into shape. It'll never happen because this team is addicted. Cronyism? Do you know what that word means, Professor?
I would have to assume it's almost like a version of nepotism, but rather than people you're related to, it's just like your buddies.
The unfair practice of appointing friends, associates, or relatives. There you go.
That's what reading books gets you, Connor.
I mean, you're pretty much there.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. And you might have been able to base it off context as well.
That context almost always helps.
Yeah. So Pat wasn't hard-nosed. Rookies, go Oil. Oh, Pat Quinn. An absolute beauty. Hey, guys. Why does no one mention Samuel Janssen? Big, young, had decent stats in the East Coast Hockey League. I'm guessing he'll be in Bakersfield next year. Bill? Unger was the more popular name, I guess. I guess that's why. He steals the limelight. The possibility to do something great is right there in front of them. Tonight's game will define what kind of team this is, from Jordy. Oh, yeah. What an opportunity. 100%. But Sunday night was an opportunity as well. Could even that one up. Don't Stop Believing by Journey. Go Oil. Blue jersey time, Connor. You're wearing the blue jersey tonight, Bob? That's what Declan had. I like the white jersey if I was buying one. But then again, you got to factor in messy
stains.
Yeah.
In case you're out watching the game with the fellas and it gets a little sloppy. The buffalo sauce all over.
I mean, you go to an Oilers game.
It's a good chance you're getting a little spillage at some point.
Yeah, it might be beer, maybe rum and Coke, but it could be something. MTR says, anytime you guys get into the playoffs, you should want to win as a fan. No guarantees next year. What if they're injured more? It's true. It's true. I think there's always just that positive spin afterwards. Like, okay, this year didn't go well. Maybe next year they'll stay healthy and maybe they'll be more rested. But I've always wondered, there's no doubt about it. It takes a toll playing 2 extra months of hockey. But how much time off do you need before you're back at it? Duke, after 2 months off, does the guy who had 3 months off or 8 weeks or 10 weeks, is he that much more rested? And maybe as the season goes on, that fatigue builds up. But I mean, I guess if you were to take, give me a random Calgary Flame.
Current Calgary Flame?
Yeah, anyone.
Justin Kirkland?
Justin Kirkland.
Great pull.
Sure.
How about Matt Coronado?
Sure, let's take Coronado, sure. You take
him. Player people actually care about, Josh.
Take him on September 1st. How much more rested, I wonder, is he than a Connor McDavid last year at the same time, right? You have 2 months off. There is an impact, I know. There is wear and tear and all that sort of thing, but I've always kind of thought that. I'm not saying they'd be evened up or anything, but I wonder what the difference would be just in the legs and how you're feeling when you return to camp. Because you do get a still pretty nice summer break. Roland says, rest in peace, John Garrett. Yeah, that was sad news to see today. Longtime voice on Hockey in Canada for the Canucks, John Garrett. That's one of those voices you just grew up with, Duke?
Yeah, and by all accounts, we chatted about it briefly with Speck and Frank Saravalli this morning, two guys that knew him pretty well. and everything for the nickname, Cheech, and the mustache, and just he kind of a very fun natured approach to calling games on the color side of things, especially watching like any Canucks game for the past, what are we talking, 20 years or longer. Very synonymous with them, and then getting the chance on national broadcast more recently, and going back to a voice you could pretty much immediately identify when he was on a call.
Yeah, over 500 games played in the WHA and NHL combined. So our condolences to the Garrett family and his friends. Certainly a big loss in the hockey world. 1-833-401-1440. Harbor and Pre-Service says, picks in net? No. Connor Ingram looks like he's going to get the start after being in the Stars net and leaving the ice earlier. Call me crazy, Coatsy Poo, but he says McDavid won't sign another contract in Edmonton. League has a bias against Canadian teams. Sorry for the conspiracy BS, but hard not to see it. Trade McDavid and Nurse for Schaefer and Sorokin straight up. Maybe find a way to deal Barzell as well. I don't want to poke holes in that, but unless McDavid signed an extension, I don't think they're trading Schaefer for 2 years. Darnell Nurse would have to waive the no trade clause. What's Sorokin's got? Does he have no movement? I would assume he's got something in there.
Yeah.
I like the idea, but I don't know. I mean, if the Oilers are competitive again and there's not a better chance for Connor McDavid to win, like just looking around the NHL with the cap space being a factor, how many teams could add him without giving up, in turn, $12 million of players, and how much would that cost them when it comes to winning? Like, it'd be tough. Like, he's in a good spot to win. He's been to 2 straight Stanley Cups, but yeah, there's been a lot of things that haven't gone right for them in this series. Does that mean they can't bounce back next year and have a really good offseason? No. We'll wait and see, though. Stu says this fan base would make a terrible GM. Well, you know what they say about that. The GM that listens to the fans will sit with them the next season. But I like that we're throwing these ideas out there. MTR says, I'm not ready for trades yet. We got a game tonight. Okay, someone's finally said it. I think the only person who said there is still a game tonight was Brandon Douglas. We were waiting for the text to come in and say, guys, they still got to play. But yeah, there's a big game tonight still. I think the Islanders were the last team with a long cup streak. Were they tired, exhausted, beyond being able to play? Well, that was the story when they beat the Oilers their final time, right? It's like the Oilers left and walked past the Islanders' room and it was all quiet. They were just exhausted. Not beyond being able to play, though. It's the fantasy show. Let the armchair GMs carry on. Oh, 100% Northside Lou. When the season ends, we'll open it up for sure. I love the trade ideas that come in here. Sometimes it's a little wild, and you question whether the opposing team would accept it or agree to it. Then again, if you're waving the best player in the league in front of another team, maybe they would take most things. Ontario Momes says, the only way I can see the Oilers fixing their goaltending is if they identify a young goalie and roll the dice. No one's trading an established starter, and the cost makes the bet riskier, in my opinion. It's true. And for that reason, I get why, some people bring up Unger. I can't wait to see what he can do at the NHL level. I'm sure he's going to get an opportunity. We'll see him in the preseason next year. All we've seen him do is play very good hockey. And whether it's the East Coast League or the AHL, but we know that step up to the NHL, it's the best in the world, obviously. So I'm intrigued by it, I will say. But I don't think it happens this year. Talking about the 80s and the Islanders, Todd says, that was way different hockey. They got buckled every night.
Yeah, the recovery was way easier that way, right?
Just go up
Turn
the
around
beers
and play again the next day. God, I could imagine.
Yeah, I can't really feel my leg because my head is pounding.
Just deter or redirect your pain to something less consequential.
Distraction tactics. DRG texting in first time says, buy low on Markstrom, then Hyman, Nurse, Jari for Nyes, Riley, Wall.
Why would Toronto do that?
Matthew Nyes is a really good player. I don't think they would do it. But hey, throw these in here. Keep it rolling. I'm sure Low Tide would love to see some trade requests.
Who knows? Maybe this will be a much more pertinent conversation on tomorrow's show.
Maybe.
In which case we can really open the floodgates. But until then, game night.
Game night. Puck drop just after 8. I don't even know, 8:15, 8:20.
It's the second half of doubleheader on the doubleheader on the national broadcast, which tells me later than not.
8:22.
Oh, boy.
Pre-game coverage, Walker Paulson. Should be a fun one. We got Gregor from 2 to 6. Coming up next, it is the Lowdown Flow Tide. LT, Declan Kruger, I think Donovan Polisic, Fenwick will be by. Should be a fun show, so make sure you keep it locked here. Thank you guys for joining us. Time for the 23-hour break. Right now, though, is Sports 1440 Update with the Duke, brought to you by Wilhauk Beef Jerky, home of Alberta's best beef jerky, online at wilhaukbeefjerky.com, only available in Leduc.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
It is a game night for the Edmonton Oilers as they are on the brink of elimination in their best-of-7 first-round matchup against the Ducks. Down 3-1 in the series. Puck drop coming just after 8 o'clock from Rogers Place. Pre-game coverage starting right here in Sports 1440 at 6. Note from the morning skate, Connor McDavid, Jason Dickinson, both game-time decisions. Connor Ingram expected to start in goal. Elsewhere in the Stanley Cup playoffs, Sabres try to punch their ticket to the second round with a 3-1 series lead hosting the Boston Bruins. And then at 6 o'clock, Wild and Stars go at it from Dallas. That series all knotted at 2 games apiece. This morning, 3 finalists for this year's Ted Lindsay Award, Most Outstanding Player in the NHL, as voted on by the players, were announced. Macklin Celebrini, Nikita Kucherov, and Connor McDavid, the top 3 vote getters. And some sad news to pass along as well, as longtime broadcaster John Garrett has passed away at the age of 74. Garrett, a veteran, over 200 NHL games, 323 WHA games, joined the Hockey Night in Canada broadcast team after his playing career wrapped in 1985. BCHL playoffs resuming tonight with the Sherwood Park Crusaders down in Brooks. Game 7 against the Bandits. Puck drop just after 7 o'clock. And in the association tonight, Boston and Sixers play game number 5. Boston up 3-1 in the series. Hawks and Knicks, game 5 tied at 2 in the series from MSG. And the Spurs hosting Portland in the nightcap. Spurs can punch their ticket to the next round with a win. They lead the series 3-1. Full slate of games in the majors today. Blue Jays continue their set against the Red Sox. Trey Savage set to make his first start of the season on the bump for Toronto. First pitch just after 5 o'clock. Elsewhere, Tampa in Cleveland, Baltimore hosting Houston. Seattle takes on the Twins, and the Yankees continue their set in Texas against the Rangers. Finally, Philadelphia Phillies, in case you missed it, firing Canadian manager Rob Thompson earlier on this morning. Thompson took over from Joe Girardi back in 2022. Coming up on Sports 1440, it is the Lowdown with Low Tide. I'm Brandon Douglas at your Sports 1440 Update.